In every organization, there exists an accumulation of knowledge and experience gained by each of its members. Unfortunately, such critical corporate knowledge isn't always maximized by the organization. When this happens, members work in information silos, business processes get hindered, and training and development become more time-consuming and less efficient due to a lack of a central knowledge base. This is where knowledge management comes in. What is knowledge management? Knowledge management is the process of gathering and structuring all the disparate knowledge within the organization so that it can be used, shared, and maximized fully. Usually, that organizational knowledge falls into 3 buckets: explicit, tacit, and implicit. What are those? Explicit knowledge refers to codified information captured in documents, files, books, and hard copies. Tacit knowledge are lessons acquired through practice and experience by knowledgeable workers. While intuitive, it is more challenging to capture and store. An example would be soft skills, which is gained through interaction. Implicit knowledge, or embedded knowledge, refers to the organization's processes, routines, and cultures. It becomes embedded in the work environment through long practice and repetition. Effective knowledge management will capture all 3. To contain all of that organizational knowledge, you need a knowledge management system. This is a place where all of your knowledge is stored, and in a digital age, this is mostly accomplished with knowledge management software. Each process and procedure you have is part of a knowledge management system. Examples include onboarding and training programs, webinars, case study archives, FAQs, content management systems or CMS, Slack and MS Teams, intranets, and private networks. How do you get your knowledge management off the ground? You have to start with sharing that knowledge. That sounds obvious, but you'll be surprised at how much is kept inside each employee's head. Follow these general guidelines. Involve everyone in the knowledge sharing process. Everyone has expertise in certain parts of the business, and they need to share their routine, processes, and procedure to hand it off to the next person when the time comes. Designate a knowledge base. You'll need to select knowledge management software or a knowledge base to help you do this. Things start falling apart when you have Slack, Teams, and files in Google Drive with no cohesion between all of these elements. Now, let's talk about the rules of 3 for what needs to be documented. Do you repeat something 3 times? Document it. If it's been repeated more than 3 times, then it's a process and should be recorded. This is the repetition rule. Essentially, when there's a piece of information or knowledge that you cite repeatedly, it's worth documenting and making it easily accessible. It saves the embarrassment of asking and re-asking. Are there more than 3 steps? Document it. Anything more than 3 steps should have a home in your knowledge management system. People forget a lot. We tend to skip or forget steps in a process even when we use that process on a regular basis. Are there more than 3 people? Document it. If you're working on a project or an initiative with at least 2 other people, take the time to document it. This helps to ensure that no one drops their responsibility and no one accidentally ends up doubling up on the same task another person is handling. Who benefits the most from knowledge management? These use cases are common. 1. New employee onboarding. Newly hired employees need to gain insight quickly to acclimate to the company. Utilizing a knowledge base can supply the answers they require and guarantee that everyone's on the same page right off the bat. 2. Product, processes, and support. Customers and users need an effective way of learning the ins and outs of your product. An external knowledge management system is an ideal solution for onboarding new customers. It will help them understand features and how to use the product in the intended way. Use an external knowledge base as your help and support center. 3. Team communication and information. Centralizing communication is key to improving team processes, policies, and information. A knowledge base like Tettra can keep employees up to date and in the loop with procedures, questions, and answers all in one place, so there's no need to search through emails or Slack. 4. Customer success and support. For customer support, knowledge management can provide clear benefits. Because it's easy to find answers in knowledge management system, it minimizes the amount of time required to answer customer queries, maximizes available time for responses, and improves the customer experience. In turn, this enhances employee response time as they don't have to start from scratch to find each and every answer. Now that we know what knowledge management is and what it is used for, what are the challenges with knowledge management? Human nature. The biggest hindrance in organizational inertia. People tend to be set in their ways and practices, which can be a roadblock when standardizing processes or defining how a particular routine or culture should be. Technology. As tech evolves, there will always be newer and more efficient ways of capturing, storing, and distributing the data. Over time, obsolete knowledge management systems will need to be augmented or replaced by new knowledge management tools and software. Security. Along with the steady march of technology, security of the KMS will need to be updated periodically in the face of new threats and evolving systems. Knowledge transfer. This is probably the biggest threat to knowledge management. People leave. Organizational priorities shift. But in fact, this is even a more important reason to have a solid knowledge management culture, because when people do exit, if their notes, thoughts, processes are documented, then it's easier to train and retrain in the future. Demonstrating value. No one understands the value of existing knowledge until it's gone. Usually a group of managers and employees have to relearn and re-educate themselves on what has worked in the past. If you're wanting to face your knowledge management challenges head-on, Tettra can help get you started. With Tettra, you'll get Q&A workflow to capture questions for simple knowledge creation, knowledge base to document answers, knowledge management features to keep content up to date, integrations with chat tools to make sure your team actually uses Tettra. It's free to start at Tettra.com.